First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Welcome to First Contact Radio. Talk about all these things we're talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
It's time to demand the truth.
All right, thank you very much. Welcome to First Contact Radio. My name is Josh. Today is the 29th of October, 2020. We're getting closer, 5 days away, and it's going to be election day. I know in a lot of places the early voting has started. In California, it's going to be starting tomorrow in many locations that haven't got going. There's been a few seem to be going, but tomorrow's the big day, so I'll be heading out to do that. A lot of people are gearing up for that process. We'll see how that goes. And, you know, we're in the midst of it. We're in the midst of it. What's going to happen? Well, right now we hear lots of speculation, don't we? We hear lots of speculation of all the different possibilities of things that could happen, but just because they're speculations doesn't mean they're going to happen. We hear lots of talk about one team winning because it's being publicized by the promotional arm for that team. So, of course, they're going to tell you that they're winning. When we dig into the histories of these different pollsters and these journalists, we do find that there's a tremendous amount of bias, and they have reason to want to lean and put their thumb on their opinion of what's going out there. But nonetheless, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, and I think it's in many ways it's exciting, but it's also a little nerve-wracking for many people because we don't know what's going on, and there is such a drastic apparent path that's going to go with depending on who gets in. So we're just going to have to continue to hold our breath for a little while longer while we go through this process. But I trust that we're going to make it through and all will be well. One of the challenges that's going on is been the FBI and bringing to justice any of the criminals that are out there. And we had the problem with James Comey and his whole criminal enterprise that was going on. And now we seem to be having some issues with Wray. So the question is, are we going to actually see some justice from Wray? Is he the right guy for the job, or is he somebody that's compromised and is just another swamp member? Well, this article here comes to us from True Pundit. It says FBI Director Wray profited from Hunter Biden's illegal China-Russia kickback deal. Is this why the FBI covered up Hunter's laptop? Good question indeed. Let's see here. It says FBI Wray profited from Hunter Biden's illegal Chinese-Russia kickback deal per records and high-paced feds. This is why the FBI has covered up Hunter's laptop. Guess who else crashed in on Hunter's deal? William Barr. You couldn't make this stuff up if you tried. The Thomas Paine podcast pulls the curtain back on yet another D.C. protection racket scheme. This one should be end of Christopher Wray's FBI tenure. Okay, so I haven't a clue what's going to really happen as we go forward because so many of these players are coming forward. Who's real, who's not, what part are they playing? Here's a Lude Media, LUDE Media. This is information that's been released from about Hunter Biden. It's been going on for the last week, it seems, maybe a little longer. Anyway, in this most recent, I'm not going to play this, you can play it, but right here at the very beginning, if you listen to it, he talks about the Hunter Biden hard drive, and two of the names that he says exist on there are those of LeBron James and Magic Johnson. LeBron James and Magic Johnson. So, indeed, what's going on there with those two? Well, time will tell, but we'll see what happens if that information catches any wind. But LeBron James, he's kind of been a guy who seems to be involved with anti-American efforts anyway. He doesn't really seem to love America, does he? At least in my opinion. He just seems to be a person who's very racist and really has a chip on his shoulder about a lot of things when he should be grateful for what he has, because he has things that most people will never dream of having. Hunter Biden, hard drive email declassification. Hunter Biden wrote Archer was there for him more than anyone else outside of his brother. Dear brothers in arms, everyone's attention must have been attracted by the videos and the photos exposed over the past few days. Now, the brainstorming time is coming. Are you ready? What follows are evidences as solid as gravity, showing that what harms and threats to Chinese and American kleptocrats are imposing to the whole of mankind and disclosing their ignorance to law and order, total humiliations to females, and their complete loss of humanity. In fact, most videos on the hard drives are extremely sensitive and extremely inhumane, with extremely cruel pictures that cannot be broadcast, so they will be processed later. Now presented are the ironclad facts of the collusion between Burisma, Hunter Biden, and the CCP, including the exchanges of documents and email messages and the interaction of the people involved. We hope brothers in arms around the world will take a look. If such things are not exposed, mankind will go into utter darkness all around. All right, so it says here, just wanted to let you know, at the risk of sounding melodramatic, how much I love you. You have been a great friend throughout the thick and thin. Wanted to make sure you know how much I appreciate it. I know I haven't made it easy being my partner at times, but more than anyone outside my brother, you have been there for me. And don't worry, I'm not planning on jumping off a bridge or anything. Just thought I should let you know how much your friendship means to me. Love, H. So this was from Hunter to apparently Devin to RHB. Oh, that was from, okay. Devin Archer was a business partner with Hunter Biden and Christopher Heinz in the firm Rosecrans Seneca Partners LLC. Hunter Biden is the son of Vice President. We know all about him and his details. Okay. So now we also have another report here relating to Hunter. FBI conducting criminal investigation into Hunter Biden and associates days ahead of 2020 election. Okay. The FBI reportedly has an active criminal investigation into Hunter Biden, the son of Democrat president nominee Joe Biden, and his associates. James Rosen, a reporter with the Sinclair Broadcast Group, tweeted on Thursday, less than a week until Election Day, that the Bureau opened the inquiry into the allegations of money laundering in 2019. Exclusive at the Justice Department official confirms that in 2019, the FBI opened up a criminal investigation into Hunter Biden and his associates focused on the allegations of money laundering, and that it remains open and active today, he said. Followed up with Tony Bobulinski tells We Are Sinclair that he was questioned by 6 agents with counsel present for 5 hours on October 23rd, listing him as a material witness in an ongoing investigation focused on Hunter Biden and his associates. The cell phones were examined. Of course, they said we have no comment, keeping with our standard practice of neither confirming nor denying the existence of investigation. An FBI spokesman told the Washington Examiner Thursday evening. In recent weeks, details of Hunter's foreign business dealings have made their way into the public eye, raising concerns about possible corruption and national security issues for him and for his father. Okay, so those materials tied to Hunter, including from a laptop and a hard drive that purportedly belonged to him, were given to the Bureau last year following a subpoena given to a John Paul Mack Isaac, a computer store owner in Delaware, who came into possession of the hardware to repair, and no one came to pick them up from the store. A copy of the materials were given to the Trump personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, who then shared them with the New York Post and other media. Giuliani, a former mayor of New York City, gave materials he said allegedly showed Hunter Biden putting underage girls in danger to authorities in Delaware, and then referred them to the Bureau. The elder Biden, a former vice president, has denied having any involvement in foreign business ventures with the family. who claimed to have no awareness of his son's pursuits. However, neither Joe Biden nor his son had denied the authenticity of the computer materials, and former business partner of Hunter Biden, Tony Bobulinski, claims that Joe Biden was involved with the son's dealings in China and has documents to back up those claims. A Senate report from two leading Republicans details allegedly problematic foreign business dealings by Hunter Biden, which was met by rebuttal document from the Democrats. Bobulinski, a Navy veteran and corporate investor who was interviewed by the FBI agents last week, told Rosen he was listed as a material witness in the investigation, that his cell phones were inspected. He was also told by the FBI he would be brought up for additional questioning. All right, so more to the Hunter story. And if you want to keep on top of some of the latest video and, in his own words, what's taking place, you have the Rudy Giuliani site. It's rudygiuliani.com or Rudy's Common Sense. And just follow this link here from First Contact Radio or its YouTube channel. And has the latest videos and keeping you up to the investigation that's going on. So I think that is important to have that, because the Hunter Biden situation is going to get itself worked out one way or another. So we'll see. Is it going to come up before the election? Well, time certainly is running out. We have tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 4 days in which this would come out. We'll see if anything happens. We'll see. Now, here's a resignation letter. This comes from Greenwald over there at the Intercept, and he says, "My resignation from the Intercept. The same trends of repression, censorship, and ideological homogeneity plaguing the national press generally have engulfed the media outlet I co-founded, culminating in censorship of my own articles. Today I sent an intention to resign from The Intercept, the news outlet I co-founded in 2013 with Jeremy Scahill and Laura Petraeus, as well as from its parent company, First Look Media. The final precipitating cause is that The Intercept's editors, in violation of my contractual rights of editorial freedom, censored an article I wrote this week, refusing to publish it until I remove all the sections critical of Democrat presidential candidate Joe Biden, the candidate vehemently supported by all New York-based Intercept editors involved in this effort at suppression. The censored article, based on recently revealed emails and witness testimony, raised critical questions about Biden's conduct. Not contact to simply prevent publication of this article at the media outlet I co-founded, these Intercept editors also demanded that I refrain from exercising a separate contractual right to publish this article with any other publication. I had no objection to their disagreements with my views of what this Biden evidence shows. As a last attempt to avoid being censored, I encourage them to air the disagreements with me by writing their own articles that critique my perspectives and letting writers decide who is right. That way, any confident and healthy media outlet would. But modern media outlets do not air dissent and squash it. So censorship of my article rather than engagement with it was the path these Biden-supporting editors chose. The censored article will be published on this page shortly. Here's a link to the article now, and the emails with Intercept editors showing the censorship are here at this link right here. My letter of the Intercept to resign, which I sent this morning to First Look Media's president, Michael Bloom, is published below. As of now, I will be publishing my journalism here on Substack, where numerous other journalists, including my good friend, the great intrepid reporter Matt Taibbi, have come in order to practice journalism free of the increasingly repressive climate that is engulfing national mainstream media outlets across the country. This was not an easy choice. I am voluntarily sacrificing the support of a large institution that guaranteed salary in exchange for nothing other than a belief that there are enough people who believe in the virtues of independent journalism and the need for free discourse who will be willing to support my work by subscribing. Like anyone with young children, family, and numerous obligations, I do this with some trepidation, but also with the conviction that there is no other choice. I cannot sleep at night knowing that I allowed any institution to censor what I had to say and believe, least of all the media outlet I co-founded with the explicit goal of ensuring that this never happens to other journalists, let alone to me. Let alone because I have written an article critical of a powerful Democrat politician vehemently supported by the editors in this imminent national election. But the pathologies, liberalism, and repressive mentality that led to the bizarre spectacle of my being censored by my own media outlet are ones that are by no means unique to the Intercept. These are the viruses that have contaminated virtually every mainstream center-left political organization, academic institution, and newsroom. I began writing about politics 15 years ago with the goal of combating media propaganda and repression, and regardless of the risks involved, simply cannot accept any situation, no matter how secure or lucrative, that forces me to submit my journalism and right of free expression to its suffocating constraints and dogmatic dictates. Okay, and then there's a lot more about him, but we're going to get to the end. Glenn Greenwald. Okay, so very interesting and unfortunate, but this is what's going on in the country, and this is happening to journalists on both sides of the fence. It's not just something that is going to happen to only conservatives. Maybe to start off with, it will be, but as it continues on, those who are helping to push this idea, those on the with the liberal and on the left, they'll start to notice that the very same restraints that were being put on others will start to be put on them. At which point some of them will realize, uh-oh, we made a mistake. Because they're being lied to. And so the challenge is you have a entire party, an entire Democratic left that has spent the last several years being spoon-fed information by a media that has only told them the story they want them to know. So when you're talking to your friends who are Democrats and you bring up some of the challenges and the events that Biden's going through, and you bring them up to your friends, they may not have any clue what's going on because Rachel Maddow hasn't told them, or CNN hasn't told them what to think or how to think. So they don't know about those things. So we need to be aware that the lack of information could be more severe than we could even imagine. 3 years. Rachel Maddow just telling a story, never telling about the Russian hoax, never revealing what was really found. So without social media, people who are only watching those channels are at the mercy of that information. And in some places, and you go into some, airports and different public locations, you kind of have no choice. You have this information in front of you. And so if we don't stand up against the censorship that's going on all around by this network, this New World Order network that's been out there for a long, long while, we're going to find ourselves having real problems in the future. Because there's a lot of young people being used these days that don't realize it. Young people who, when they were growing up, were never told no, were given participation trophies. And now that they've grown up and they've become bullies, when they hear the word no, they're not very happy about that. So these are the ones that are out there causing the problems, rioting, spoiled little brats. Okay, let's not mince words about it. Spoiled little brats that probably should have been brought up in a different manner, maybe with a different set of discipline, because whatever it was didn't work. And now they're running out there crazy and causing problems in society for mom and dad and those in society who really provided so much to them. Because we see the young kids that are out there are from these colleges. They're entitled kids. And yet they're acting like they're the most depraved, like the most, challenged. It's like with LeBron James acting like he's the most oppressed one out there. He's not oppressed. LeBron James isn't oppressed about anything. He has more blessings and benefits, but he has the biggest lack of appreciation probably than we've ever seen before. Because if this guy appreciated, then he wouldn't be doing the things he's doing. And so now to see that he might be tied in with Hunter, that he's on the thing, it just is unfortunate, but not surprising because I've never really thought that was a really good guy there. Okay, moving on, moving on. So the Intercept responded, and they responded as you would expect. Intercept responds to Greenwald's resignation, saying he's throwing a temper tantrum over dubious Biden claims. And so let's see. They suggest that Greenwald is attempting to recycle dubious claims of a political campaign, and blah blah blah. So if you want to read through this article, it's exactly what you would expect, and this is why the problem was there to begin with, because you have a media arm that thinks that they're better than the organization, that they know more just because they're following a political agenda. Now, here we have a story from the Gateway Pundit. I thought this one was interesting. Rapper Lil Wayne meets with and endorses President Trump. He's got 34 million followers, so, does that be a boost to President Trump? Could be. Lil Wayne's regarded by many contemporaries as one of the most influential hip-hop artists of the generation. He tweeted out, just had a great meeting with President Trump at POTUS. Besides what he's done so far with criminal reform, the Platinum Plan is going to give the community real ownership. He listened to what we had to say and assured he will and can get it done. There he is with him right there. So that's a great little boost there. More and more people are waking up. Smart people are waking up. Smart people are waking up to see what's going on, and it's unfortunate the Democrats sell people short because of their skin color. They use them for their skin color. They push them away because of their skin color. It's all about outward appearances. All right, this was GOP wins Minnesota ballot deadline case in federal court. This was just dated today. Goes on to say an Eighth Circuit panel Thursday night ruled that election officials must segregate Minnesota ballots received after Election Day. The decision is a victory for local GOP groups who sought to challenge Minnesota's extended November 10th absentee ballot deadline. There is no pandemic exception to the Constitution, the court ruled. The ballots that arrive after November 3rd will be segregated in case a later ruling finds that all the post-election ballots in Minnesota must be thrown out entirely. Immediately following the decision, Senator Amy Klobuchar began warning the state's voters that it's too late to mail in their ballots and that they should be submitted in person. Then breaking because of the last-minute ruling, Minnesota do not put ballots in mail anymore. Klobuchar told voters on Twitter, in the middle of the pandemic, the Republican Party is doing everything to make it hard for you to vote. Stand up for your rights, vote in person, take the mail-in ballot directly to the mailbox. Okay, so, this thing is crazy what's going on there. I know one party looks at one group and says that they're doing these things, and then the other party looks and says the same thing. I think we can see. If we can't, then we're blind. But we could see what they're doing. They've made every effort to lie, cheat, and steal. They've said they're going to lie, cheat, and steal. Nancy Pelosi is out saying today it doesn't matter what the results of the election count are. At the end of the day, Biden's still going to be the president. What was it? Green, he was out there saying that yes, they are selling out. The DNC is selling out to China, but get used to it. They're openly flaunting their plans and their ideas because they don't believe that they're going to lose this. They believe they've got this in the bag, and that's what they're painting, that picture. They're painting that picture, and along the way, what are we seeing? We're seeing a tremendous amount of voter fraud. Now, they're not showing this on the liberal channels. Rachel Maddow's not showing the voter fraud. So while it is being shown and we know it exists, who's being hurt more? The people who aren't being told that there is voter fraud, being told that everything's peachy keen. At the end of the day, they're being lied to. The media is lying to their own viewers about what's really going on just to keep them in the dark so that they think that everything is great with their party. That's not right. That's kind of abusive of the media to do that, but they do it all the time. So, we got a couple more days to deal with all the tricks. Stay strong out there. And we're going to close things up a little bit more positive thinking here. This time we brought up the book The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. If you haven't read this book, I read it a long time ago. If you haven't read it, do so. It's great. Again, the whole point is about harnessing the power of our minds. Okay? Whether it's a spiritual teacher or a psychological teacher or ministers, or psychologists, psychiatrists, educators, anyone who's dealing with the mind will tell you the same thing, that the frame of mind that one has when one goes into creating something and throughout the process has a tremendous amount of importance to how things work out. Whether things work out quickly or they don't work out quickly, the mindset is very important. So we want to be able to understand, first and foremost, our own minds. If we understand our minds, then we'll be able to understand other people's minds. And everybody operates the same. So if you understand a little bit more about yourself, you'll understand a little bit more of others. And as you're watching and observing others, you can begin to learn about yourself, because if you think of the others as like a reflection. Who are the people that you're around? What is going on? What are your thoughts creating and bringing into your life? So this book here, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking. And I just wanted to go. You can see we have 17 chapters here. Got an introduction, and you got Believe in Yourself, A Peaceful Mind Generates Power, How to Have Constant Energy, Try Prayer Power, How to Create Your Own Happiness, Stop Fuming and Fretting, Expect the Best and Get It, I Don't Believe in Defeat, How to Break the Worry Habit, Power to Solve Personal Problems, How to Use Faith and Meaning, When Vitality Sags, Try This, Inflow of New Thoughts Can Remake You, Relax for Easy Power, How to Get People to Like You, Prescription for Heartache, How to Draw Upon the Higher Power, and then a final closing epilogue. So I want just to read a little bit. I'm going to just do the opening part, which was opening by Norman Vincent Peale. It's not too long here. It says, this book is written to suggest techniques and to give examples which demonstrate that you do not need to be defeated by anything, that you can have peace of mind, improved health, and never-ending flow of energy. In short, that your life can be full of joy and satisfaction. Of this I have no doubt at all, for I have watched countless persons learn and apply a system of simple procedures that has brought about the foregoing beliefs in their lives. These assertions, which may appear extravagant, are based on bona fide demonstrations and actual human experience. Altogether, too many people are defeated by the everyday problems of life. They go struggling, perhaps even whining through their days with a sense of dull resentment at what they consider the bad breaks life has given them. In a sense, there may be such a thing as the breaks in this life, but there is also a spirit and a method by which we can control and even determine those breaks. It's a pity that people should let themselves be defeated by the problems, cares, and difficulties of human existence, and it is also quite unnecessary. In saying this, I certainly do not ignore or minimize the hardships and tragedies of the world, but neither do I allow them to dominate. You can permit obstacles to control your mind to the point where they are upmost and thus become the dominating factors in your thought pattern. By learning how to cast them from the mind, by refusing to become mentally subservient to them, and by channeling spiritual power through your thoughts, you can rise above obstacles which ordinarily might defeat you. By methods I shall outline, obstacles are simply not permitted to destroy your happiness and well-being. You need be defeated only if you are willing to be. This book teaches you how to will not to be. The purpose of this book is a very direct and simple one. It makes no pretense to literary excellence, nor does it seek to demonstrate any unusual scholarship on my part. This is simply a practical, direct action, personal improvement manual, written with the sole objective of helping the reader achieve a happy, satisfying, and worthwhile life. I thoroughly and enthusiastically believe in certain demonstrated and effective principles which, when practiced, produce a victorious life. My aim is to set them forth in this volume in a logical, simple, and understandable manner so that the reader, feeling a sense of need, may learn a practical method by which he can build for himself, with God's help, the kind of life he deeply desires. If you read this book thoroughly, carefully absorbing its teachings, and if you will sincerely and persistently practice the principles and formulas set forth herein, you can experience an amazing improvement within yourself. By using the techniques outlined here, you can modify or change the circumstances in which you now live, assuming control over them rather than continuing to be directed by them. Your relations with other people will improve. You will become more popular, esteemed, and well-liked individual. By mastering these principles, you will enjoy a delightful new sense of well-being. You may attain a degree of health, but not hitherto known by you, and experience a new and keen pleasure in living. You become a person of greater usefulness and will wield an expanded influence. How can I be so certain of that the practice of these principles will produce such results? The answer is simple, that for many years in the Marble Collegiate Church of New York City, we have taught a system of creative living based on spiritual techniques, carefully noting its operation in the lives of hundreds of people. It is no speculative series of extravagant assertions that I make, for these principles have worked so efficiently over a long period of time that they are now firmly established as documented and demonstrable truth. The system outlined is a perfected and amazing method of successful living. In my writings, including several books on my regular weekly newspaper column, in nearly over 100 dailies, in my national radio program over 17 years, in our magazine guideposts, and in lectures in scores of cities, I have taught these same scientific yet simple principles of achievement, health, and happiness. Hundreds have read, listened, and practiced to the results, and the results are invariably the same: new life, new power, increased efficiency, greater happiness. Because so many have requested that these principles be put into this book form, the better to be studied and practiced. I am publishing this volume under the title, The Power of Positive Thinking. I need not point out that the powerful principles contained therein are not my own invention, but are given to us by the greatest teacher who ever lived and who still lives. This book teaches applied Christianity, a simple yet scientific system of practical techniques of successful living that works. That's it. So he said that he's taken this from the greatest teacher who ever lived. Well, he's talking about Jesus Christ. And if you know the works of Norman Vincent Peale, you'll know that to be accurate. And the methods that are being taught are simple methods of how to use the mind, how to use the power of the mind energy. And if, as we've discussed, what was learned in the teachings of Jesus, there's a possibility these teachings go back much, much further to the history of this planet. And we have teachings and learning about how the mind works going on for a long time. And, the three initiates, the teachings there, all is mind, ties right into this. So our minds are powerful. We create with our minds, and we create with our minds. So during this time, as we're getting closer and closer to these important times, I think it's important that we just remember to put on our spiritual armor, our strength. I like to have these pictures here. I just like to think of the victorious images that are out there and just imagine those things in our lives, and knowing that this spiritual battle that's out there, is happening, and we all are here witnessing it. We're all a part of it. And what we do as part of this will certainly make a big difference in not only what goes on here, but importantly to us, what goes on as we move from one life to the next, to the next, to the next. So let's just go forward. Let's just remember that we have a lot of opportunities to move forward in positive ways, create the positive things we want, create the protections around us using the positive prayers and chants and affirmations that are out there. And let's just keep doing that. And despite whatever is thrown our way, doubts, fears, and all this other stuff, just despite all that, let's just keep on keeping on, knowing that good wins. And if we keep focused on the good, we'll create the good that we want. All right, that's it. Have yourself a great night. I'll talk to you soon. I'll be back tomorrow. God bless. Peace. I'm out of here.